Hey guys, it's Amanda over at AmandaReads. Surprise! I am coming to you with a video today. I know it's been a really long time. I've been super busy, but I kind of let you guys know that would be happening back at the beginning of the year. But now that school's winding down and my other job is ending as well, I feel like I'm going to be able to make more videos this summer, which is the goal. This is going to be a wrap up for March, April, and May. For the books I read in March and April, I'm not really going to talk much about them. If you wanted to know more about those books and my thoughts on them, you could just go to my Goodreads and look at my reviews. However, for the books in May, I will be talking more in depth about them. So let's get started with the books I read in March. In the month of March, I read a total of 5 things. I read 3 novels and 2 graphic novels. The first novel I read was The Dream Thieves by Maggie Stiefvater. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars and I loved it. I think I even liked it more than the first book in this series. Next, I read Lost Among the Living by Simone St. James. This was a book I received in my Once Upon a Book Club box. I really loved this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars and I immediately went on Book Outlet and ordered all the books they had by this author. Next, I read Anna Dressed in Blood by Kendare Blake and I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it. Next, I picked up the graphic novel Sunny Side Up by Jennifer L. Holm and I read this to see if it was appropriate for my students. I really liked it. This is the first graphic novel I've ever read that I was like, wow, I would read that again, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And finally, I read El Defo by C.C. Bell, which is another graphic novel, which I also gave 4.5 stars. Now moving on to the month of April, I read 8 things, I listened to 1 audiobook, I read 2 graphic novels, and then I read 5 novels. The first book I read in the month of April was Girl of Nightmares by Kendare Blake. I didn't love this as much as I loved Anna Dressed in Blood, but I did still give it 4 out of 5 stars. Next, I picked up The Nightmare Affair by Mindy Arnett, and this is the first book in the Arkwell Academy trilogy. I liked it. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I am interested enough to continue on with the series, but I did guess a lot of the plot twists. Next, I listened to the audiobook of The Diviners by Libba Bray. I first listened to this audiobook back in 2015, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I was obsessed with it. Now I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars because I realized that there was a lot of extra page fillers. There was a lot of detail that was kind of unnecessary and bored me the second time around, which was kind of sad, but I still really loved the plot and the main things that happened. Next, I picked up The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which was the first book in a graphic novel series about Sabrina the Teenage Witch. This is written by Roberto Aguirre Sacasa. I'm really sorry if I said your name wrong. And it's really like a dark take on the show Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and I hated it. I really hated it. I love Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I watch that show all of the time on Amazon Prime, binge watch all the seasons all the time. So seeing the characters in a really negative and demonic sort of light just really didn't sit well with me, but I'm sure that there are people out there that would love this series. Then I picked up Lumberjanes Volume 1 by Noelle Stevenson, which is a graphic novel series I've always been interested in. I ended up giving it 2 out of 5 stars. I was intrigued by the characters and the plot, but it was kind of all over the place. It just felt like event after event after event with no real explanation and no real reflection afterward. I don't really think I'm going to be continuing on with this series, but I am glad that I gave the first book a shot. Next, I picked up Island of Lost Girls by Lisa McMahon. And I gave this 3.5 out of 5 stars. I just didn't find this book to be on the same level of amazingness as some of the other books I've read by her. I believe this is one of her earlier novels, so that may explain why. Next, I picked up A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely love the illustrations, and I think that this book has so many great life lessons in it, and I definitely recommend it. Finally, I read S by J.J. Abrams and Doug Dorst, and I gave this 3.5 out of 5 stars. This is really like a story within a story, and to complete this the right way, you end up going through this book 5 times. The first time you're reading the actual book, and just a couple of the margin notes, and then you go back and you read the margin notes in a specific order, and at certain times the inserts will be applicable, so you'll look at the inserts. But it's definitely a complex thing to read. I can tell that a ton of thought went into the making of this book, so I really appreciate it, almost like a piece of art. Now we're moving on to the past month, which was the month of May. The first book I read in the month of May was Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I absolutely loved this. This is my favorite that I've read by her. I really liked this story. I thought it was cute. I was kind of feeling slumpy, and this was exactly what I needed to pick up. So I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Then I picked up Caraval by Stephanie Garber, which I gave 5 out of 5 stars. I ordered the UK edition off of the Book Depository because how can you not love this? Look at how beautiful, the black and the white. And I also got the dress. I wasn't originally planning on reading this. It wasn't like really high on my interest list, but after hearing so many people talk about it, I was just kind of drawn to it. I know a lot of people hated this book for whatever their reasons were, but I absolutely loved it. I was unable to guess any of the twists, and I usually guess a good amount of twists in books. I flew through it in 2 sittings, and I highly recommend it if the premise sounds intriguing to you. Then I decided to pick up, on a whim, Illuminae by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. I fell in love with these main characters. I was so invested in their story and in seeing how everything turned out. I flew through this and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, which led me to then pick up Gemina by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, which I ended up giving 5 out of 5 stars. Now, I didn't love the characters as much as I loved the characters in Illuminae. I wasn't invested as much as I was in like the romance aspect as I was in the first book for some reason, but this plot line was definitely more memorable than the plot line of Illuminae, in my opinion. The last 3 books I read in the month of May were part of a bind-up, and that is the Visions bind-up by Lisa McMahon. This is a trilogy, and the first book is called Crash, the second book is called Bang, and the final book is called Gasp. This is about a girl named Jules. One day, Jules starts having vision of a truck crashing into a building and then 7 body bags laying in the snow. She starts to think she's going crazy because she sees this vision everywhere. In windows, on billboards, whenever she closes her eyes, on the TV. I mean, this vision is haunting her. She has to figure out what is going on with this accident, when is it going to happen, and how is she going to stop it. I really love the way this trilogy wraps up. It does explain everything, and you are definitely left feeling satisfied, which I love. I liked the first book the best. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and then I gave the remaining 2 books in the trilogy 4 out of 5 stars. So those are the 20 things I have read since we last saw each other. In terms of a June TBR, I don't really have anything set. I am currently reading New York Actually by Sarah Morgan, which is the 4th book in the From Manhattan with Love series. By the time this video goes up, I'll probably have finished it because I have to finish it in 2 days. I've also started to read Carry On, but I've only read like the first chapter, so I'm not really into it yet. I hope you guys are doing really well with your reading. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys!